Hello, how are we today? On today we'd like to talk with you about chapter 14, which is entitled Environmental Ethics. Environmental Ethics. I'd like to give you just a short overview of the chapter, introduce the topic to you. Again, I want to encourage you to read the chapter if you haven't had a chance to read it. Read some of the primary source documents at the end of the chapter and some of the case studies. This is another one of those controversial ethical issues. But let's begin by sort of defining some key terms. First of all, ethical theory applies to environmental issues also and can be defined as doing the thing in respect to the environment. The world that we live in is basically a system. It's a whole. And yes, we as humans, we have some responsibility to make sure that we take care of the whole. The ethical question is, what is the right thing to do in respect to the environment? We talked back in maybe chapter 1 about the terms instrumental value and intrinsic value. The term instrumental value is something or someone that has value only as a means to something else, while the term intrinsic value is something or someone who has value in and of themselves. As we look at moral status or moral considerability, it is defined as the property of being a suitable candidate for direct moral concern or respect. Do roses have moral status, therefore deserve moral consideration in their own right and not in relationship to being of moral status to something else? Another term that we want to define for you is anthropocentrism. Anthropocentrism is a notion that only human beings have moral status. Basically, it's a term that says that humans are at the center of the world, and we're the only ones that have who are moral agents and have moral status and should be treated morally. Zoocentrism is a notion that both humans and non-human animals have moral status. Biocentrism is the view that all living entities have moral status. That includes plants, animals, and humans. So again, we'd encourage you to sort of review and learn those key terms as we go through the chapter. What are some of the major environmental issues that we're confronted with today? We are confronted with such things as acid rain, which is caused by airborne acidic pollutants that are put into the air. Our cars are probably one of the major contributors to half the world's nitrogen, oxygen, which is a part of this acid rain. Air pollution. The average person inhales about 20,000 liters of air per day. Air pollution includes all contaminants found in the atmosphere, all the gases and the particles. Air pollution is both indoors and outdoors. Air pollution is both natural and human-based. Global warming is another one of those issues. And if you've lived in the Cincinnati, Ohio Valley area in recent years, you've probably noticed how the summers have been getting warmer. There are some people that say global warming is basically cyclical. But global warming is defined as the greenhouse effect is the greenhouse effect caused by gases that are gathered above the earth and make the planet comparable to a greenhouse. Heat is trapped near the surface of the earth. And one of the major causes of global warming is overpopulation. The number of different products and human activities contribute to global warming, particularly refrigerators. Hazardous waste. In addition to releasing gases and particles into the atmosphere, humans produce waste that is dumped into the environment. The consumption of products that end up in landfills, these waste can be dangerous. Hazardous waste can produce both on a huge scale of major corporations and on a larger scale or smaller scale that of we the individual. Ozone depletion is another one of those concepts, and forest conservation is one of the ethical issues. What are our ethicists saying about these issues? Well, moral theories that are related to environmental issues include, first of all, Immanuel Kant deontology theory. The anthropocentric theory developed by Immanuel Kant establishes moral duty for people to do their duty as related to the environment and other animals. The natural law theory, also a anthropocentric instrumentalist theory that was espoused by St. Thomas Aquinas. And he believes that animals are tools to be employed in the discretion of humans. Then there's the Neo-Kantian theory advanced by Paul Taylor, speaking from a biocentristic perspective, who believes that humans and animals entities ought to be considered together and not necessarily on equal basis, but as ends in themselves. We have consequentialist theories that doing the right thing involves producing the greatest overall satisfaction for the greatest number of sentient beings that feel pleasure and pain, and all sentient beings experience these kinds of pain and pleasures. Now, the classical utilitarians say that all sentient beings are defined as beings that can experience pain and pleasure according to Jeremy Bentham, that ought to be considered together in making moral decisions. A neo-utilitarian, Peter Singer, in deciding which actions produce the greatest pleasure or greatest satisfaction for the greatest number, says we must include the interests of all sentient beings and they must be considered equally. Again, I just wanted to alert you to some of the key points in this chapter. There is one of the readings in the middle of the chapter that talks about some of the major environmental issues. It's boxed in. I'd encourage you to actually spend a little time reading and thinking about that. Again, read the chapter, look at the primary source documents at the end of the chapter, and also review some of the case studies at the end of the chapter. I hope this has been helpful and enlightening to you. This is another one of those complex contemporary moral issues that each of us have to confront with our daily activities. I hope and I do encourage you to recycle if you're not currently recycling, because that's the one small thing that each of us can do right now. Again, until next time, thank you for your time and your attentions.